So Calvin Klein Eternity is a fragrance that has been around for many years. As a matter of fact, I wore it even in grammar school and all throughout high school. Well, the year is 2022 and we have a new summer flanker from Calvin Klein. This one is called Eternity Summer Daze. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new release, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin my review of Calvin Klein Eternity Summer Daze, and I tell you all about this fragrance, the simple note breakdown, but also what other notes I pick up on in addition to the note breakdown, performance, longevity, all that good stuff, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to hit that bell notification so that you can be up to date on future videos, top 10s, giveaways, unboxings, and more. And also make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from today's episode. Now, I think the original Eternity is a classic, and of course, it's one of the most flankered fragrances. It seems like every summer, not just for Eternity, but also for CK1, there's a new summer flanker. In the year 2022, we have Summer Daze. Now, this has an overly simple note breakdown, and the only place that I saw this available at the moment is Macy's. That's where I purchased my bottle. So it has mandarin oil, lavender, and spearmint. Very simple note breakdown, but I do personally pick up on some other ingredients in addition to those three. And I'm also going to be letting you know throughout the course of this review how similar I think this is to the original. And if you have any of the previous flankers, is this one worth a purchase? Does it warrant a purchase? Is it unique enough? Let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. Okay, so right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get that citrusy warmth. So it does open up rather bright, and I do get that mandarin oil as a matter of fact. And the thing with mandarin or orange in general, whether that be tangerine or whatever, it does actually smell rather warm as opposed to something like grapefruit, which can be rather tart and bitter at times, and yuzu and bergamot, which is kind of nondescript. So the orange in here gives it this sort of warm sensation in the opening, which is really cool, but then it gets kind of salty. So this is something that I've seen and smelled Calvin Klein do in the past, especially with one particular summer flanker for CK1. I think it might have been the 2014 version, don't quote me on that, where it kind of smells like a margarita. And I'm getting a very similar vibe from this one. So it's kind of sweet, kind of salty. It definitely smells like a margarita with a salted rim. That is 100% the vibe that I'm getting from this fragrance. So my initial impression was, wow, this smells tropical, effervescent, vacation ready. And of course, with it being a summer flanker, you want something that you can wear casually and something that's very easygoing, something that's appropriate for the hotter months of the year. And I certainly think that Summer Daze, spelled D-A-Z-E, is the type of fragrance to do that for you. So in terms of the presence of the spearmint, it's not that strong. I have smelled mint and other minty ingredients like geranium and eucalyptus and even clove, believe it or not. I've smelled these ingredients in other fragrances where they are so strong to the point that they're overwhelming. In this fragrance, it's not really a mint-based fragrance, although I can see how it serves as an accent in this composition, but I don't think it's overly pronounced. The lavender, on the other hand, yes, it's in there, it's a little relaxing, it's not overly strong, it's not, the centerpiece of the show, if you will. But you are going to get that citrus freshness in the opening, and then you're going to get like this creamy, tropical smelling, salty, fruity vibe. Now, the more I smelled it, I'm like, does this smell like melon or passion fruit, or there's something fruity happening in here? But I think ultimately what I'm getting is the smell of fig or fig leaf merged with coconut. Now, fig is a fantasy ingredient in perfumes. There is no way to distill the essence from the fig fruit, so it's a combination of other ingredients to create a fig accord. But I do get something from this fragrance that reminds me of the smell of fig/coconut. So it's that sort of tropical, slightly fruity, but mostly salty heart in this fragrance that definitely puts me in that tropical/vacation mindset. Now, in terms of this being a summer fragrance, I think they did a good job. This is exactly the type of fragrance that I want to wear in the summertime. In terms of performance, you know, we can sort of expect for the brighter, more citrus-heavy fragrances to project very well, but to perhaps not last very long. And so longevity on this was about 5 hours, 6 hours on a good day. Now, keeping in mind that it's still winter time, technically, so, or as of the time that I'm shooting this video, so it is going to not perform as well as it would in the summertime when the weather is hitting you or the sun is, you know, directly radiating on your skin and, you know, your body is heating up, and that, you know, allows the fragrance to perform better. So I do think that this is going to perform better in the summertime. So it's not fair for me to accurately assess the performance of this fragrance based off of wearing within a single season. So I think, you know, given the fact that I do plan on wearing this, you know, in the spring and in the summertime, perhaps I'll revisit this category and give you my updated thoughts, maybe in like a future top 10 video or something like that. But I do think that this fragrance is well done for a summer flanker. I do think it's something that I've smelled before in the Calvin Klein wide array of DNAs of previous summer flankers and stuff. But if you are a fan of that fruity, salty margarita kind of a vibe, you're a fan of citrus and lavender, with the lavender being very sort of subtle in its presence in the fragrance, I think you'll enjoy this one. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, like I said, this is a DNA that I've personally smelled before, although I do think that this smells slightly more fruity and creamier than the previous CK1 summer flanker. I think it was 2014, that kind of smelled like a margarita. However, in the case of this fragrance, it has those elements, but it also has that bright citrus, and it has a lot of these bright and uplifting ingredients that would make it a perfect summertime fragrance. And in terms of you owning other Calvin Klein Eternity flankers, this smells nothing like the original Eternity. The original Eternity, I have the blueprint in my mind and I can recall it quite vividly. So this actually smells nothing like the original Eternity. So if you were worrying about making a redundant purchase, you won't with this one. It does smell quite different. Longevity, like I said, 5 to 6 hours. Projection, great for the first half hour to 45 minutes. It did start to sit closer to the skin, right around that 3.5 to 4 hour mark. Versatility on this one is great. I wouldn't wear it in the colder weather unless you're wearing it indoors in an office setting. But in an office setting, I would want something a little bit more dressed up, a little bit more refined. This is definitely casual, so I wouldn't wear this one formally. I would wear this one maybe going to the beach, going to the supermarket, hanging out with your significant other, running errands. You know, when you're wearing it in a casual environment, I think this one will really do best. Perfectly unisex in my opinion, even though it's marketed for men. And I think somebody who's a little bit younger will appreciate this over somebody who is perhaps a little bit older. If you're a little bit older, you're looking for a citrus heavy fragrance, I think you'd probably want to go for something like Terre d'Hermès by Hermès. And there's a lot of other citrus based fragrances that give a more sophisticated vibe. This one is definitely casual, very fun, easygoing. And I appreciate that. In terms of the presentation, I do kind of like the double entendre meaning of the word daze, like summer daze as in the opposite of night, but daze as in confused or mesmerized. So I think it's kind of cool and definitely puts you in the mindset of what to expect from the smell of this one. My final verdict is, if you want a fragrance that's very bright, citrusy, fun, upbeat, kind of smells like a margarita with a salted rim, you got something really special happening here with Summer Daze by Calvin Klein. Not the most unique fragrance on the market, but I think it's going to do very well in terms of its accessibility. And I can also see this being the type of fragrance that you would get a lot of compliments with. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me. Mostly gents, I think, though. If you enjoyed this review, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to hit the bell, give it a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed my review of Eternity Summer Daze by Calvin Klein. We'll see you all tomorrow. Love you guys. Take care.